climbing up the walls. He's not with me at the moment, but when he is, you'll know it.
Yeah, Teddy, when we talked like over a year ago, you were going to get him, like we did a podcast and you were going to get him that night. And then we talked back in the fall, and by that point, you'd already, of course, had him. So now it's been like, what, a year and a half, I think, right?
He's officially a year and a half old. And
Nice.
I think he's going to turn 2 in January. So he's about a year and 3/4 old, if we're getting specific here. And he is just a bundle of unrelenting energy. I take him to the dog park twice a day. Normally I take him twice, unless it's like too hot or it's raining or something. And we run around for like at least an hour. And that's like never enough. Like we'll come home and he'll be pretty much dead, wiped out for like 45 minutes to an hour. But then he's back up and he's just ready to go again. I'm like, bro, how are you doing this right now? It makes no physiological sense how you are able to continue, how your motor is still running.
The funny thing is, I was listening to this earlier, and so when you were going to pick him up that night, like last May 2021, you had said how at that point you had said that when you met him the first time, you had met him at his like quote unquote peak energy, and you were like, were like, if this is how he's going to be at his peak energy, he's going to be like the most chillest dog. So what you're saying is it's 10 times more than that.
I was so young and dumb. Well, I was told when I got him that he was like the most chill dog in the litter. That is a absolute lie. He is the most insane dog I've ever met in my life. And don't get me wrong, I love Teddy so much, but boy, oh boy.
So you got Teddy, and then you're like writing all over the place. I realized today, I thought that I knew you were with Broad Street Hockey. So I couldn't remember, but I don't think you're with the Wild, doing the Wild anymore of Hockey Wilderness. You're not with them anymore, are you?
No. And honestly, I wish I was. Like, I miss Hockey Wilderness so much. They were the most aggressively mediocre team in the NHL, probably.
Manila, yeah.
And then, like, I joined NBC Sports, and basically, I kind of realized like I wouldn't have time to cover the Wild anymore. So I stepped away from that to focus on NBC Sports. And of course, as soon as I stopped covering the Wild, Kirill Kaprizov comes over, goes insane, and he takes the league by storm. And now, I don't care, I'm going to say this, he's the best player in Minnesota Wild history already by a significant margin. And I'm just like, I watch him from afar. I'm just like, that could have been me. I'm just glad that they have someone who's truly like a legit superstar now. Someone to really like grasp onto and love and cherish for a while.
Before Koivu, it was like Gaborik and I don't know. They've had some players. I mean, they've been like, they went to the East Western Conference final
like really early on. Then after that, I think they've won like 2 playoff games since then. Like something like they just haven't had much playoff success ever since then.
Them in Nashville, I hated Nashville because I mean that team just dominated. I mean, Columbus would play Detroit, and I mean they would have moderate success against the Wings. Not only in the last decade where they've dominated them, but like the first decade when Detroit was the powerhouse. Columbus was like not good against them, but they were like putting up wins occasionally. Nashville, to this day, they're like, I don't know, it's not exactly this number, obviously, but it's like 50-3 or something. It's like, what is it with Nashville? It's like it's a house of horrors in Nashville, and I mean they don't even have to be a great team. They could be a good team. They are typically a good team. They just dominate, at least Columbus, like every year, it seems like. So I hated Nashville. But yeah, so you're writing with Knights on Ice, which I kind of maybe forgot about. I don't even know if I knew you were still there. Maybe I did.
Yeah, so I was with Knights on Ice for a while. That's like where I started at SB Nation. And I was living out there. I was going to the games and everything, and it was awesome. But I just, like, I was making precisely $0 doing it. And I was like, it would be nice if I made some money. That would be cool. So MVP, Steph Driver, shout out to the best boss of all time. She hooked me up with covering the Wilds, and it was like a paying opportunity. And I was like, let's do it. Let's roll. So at that point, I left Knights on Ice so I could dive into the Wild. And I was doing that for about a year before Kaprizov and everything. And then got a full-time gig, or basically a full-time gig with NBC Sports. And then I left Hockey Wilderness, the Wild site, to do NBC. And now I've circled all the way back.
I remember it was like about this time last year, John Forsland told me, he was like, I think the Kraken will be a playoff team. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know, because like the Golden Knights were such an extreme anomaly. I mean,
they thought teams were just going to lay down and sacrifice a ton of assets to like keep their players at the expansion draft. And then that didn't happen because there was precedent that time. Like teams were like, oh, well, what happened last time sucked. We're not going to do that again. So like Seattle, if you want to take a player, take a player. Pick literally anyone. It's totally fine. Like Vegas, what worked for them is like there hadn't been an expansion draft in like 17 years or whatever. And teams are just like, oh God, how do we handle this? And Vegas took advantage of everyone. And that's why they've been so good ever since. But Seattle, like they just didn't have that luxury because teams were just like, we know your tricks. We know what you're going to try to do. We're not falling for it.
Yeah, so the Golden Knights missed the playoffs last year. They were a pretty good team. They were injured. It was just everything was going wrong. Bruce Cassidy, good coach. I think he's going to get Vegas back up to where we, have seen them, right?
I think so too. The only thing, I think what was the kiss of death for Vegas was just injuries last year. Assuming they don't lose like half their team to injury this year, they should be back into a playoff spot, I would imagine. And I feel like they should be one of the better teams in the Pacific this year. And I think Bruce Cassidy is the type of coach that can elevate their play because we saw what he did in Boston. And he literally, like the Drake song, started from the bottom, now we're here. Like he just worked his way up. I think with the right coaching, Eichel could be, so good.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Max Pacioretty thing. So he's with the Hurricanes. You said it. Talked about the relaxed atmosphere. He was talking about, you get your face caved in, and usually players are looking at the carpet in the dressing room after the game, and everybody's just going about like normal, and it's just like this isn't normal. There's just that Vegas, that environment in general when you think of Vegas, and you were there
when Gerard Gallant was there. I think it was totally different. Like he really does hold his players to a certain standard, and you don't Gerard Gallant's like a player's coach. Like he is a former player and he was a very good one, but like he will call you out. And he gave it to his players. There were plenty of times when I was there where in a press conference, if they played like garbage, he would stay in the locker room and absolutely just give it to the players in the locker room, yell at them. And we wouldn't be able to hear it, but like you would imagine that's probably what was going on. But like, I think Bruce Cassidy is a lot more like Gerard Gallant, where like they are going to hold players accountable. And I think it'll work out a lot better. But like, also like, I don't know, I feel like Pacioretty was definitely going through some extreme culture shock going from Montreal to Vegas. Cause like Montreal, Toronto, like, those are like the most aggressively insane markets that you can play in as a player. And to go from there to Vegas, where everything's brand new and like everyone's just like, hey, we're just happy to be here. Like, let's go to the Palms and go swimming and have some martinis or something.
Evgeni Malkin Lion King cake. I don't know if I had realized that before that pod, but like that thing.
It's an ugly cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw the cake that he posted, or that his, I believe it was his wife that posted on Instagram. I saw the picture of the cake, and I saw their kid there, and I was just like, okay, Lion King cake, kid. I'm sure this is for the kid. But then there's who's the baboon? Not Pumbaa. Like it shows the baboon holding up a Stanley Cup, but like he's holding it up, and I'm like, is this cake for Malkin? Like, and he's holding up a fourth Stanley Cup. He's supposed to be the baboon. Like, is that what's happening here?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know who that cake belongs to. And if that's a Lion King cake for Evgeni Malkin, what a weirdo. And so the only thing that could possibly make the Flyers being terrible, like kind of, bearable would be to just ruin Penguins fans, like turn them into the Joker, like take one of their franchise icons and put them in a Flyers uniform and then just infiltrate their image. It felt like Malkin was going to stay. There was a glimmer of hope for a little bit where it seemed like, oh boy, he might go somewhere. But, it never felt like he was like a realistic option for the Flyers. So it was more of just like a pipe dream.
perfect coach for a place that needs an environmental change. Towards the Philly, like, were you ultimately surprised, or did you just think like it makes sense because he's trying to coach again? Did he ever feel comfortable on ESPN? Did he ever look like he enjoyed being on TV? Because I don't know that he ever really did. I think he always just wanted to coach.
I don't think he hated it, but I don't think he hated it. I don't think he was comfortable with it either. Because like sometimes he'd be like sitting there, and it just felt like he wasn't like being totally himself.
Yes.
Maybe he was being himself, but maybe he's just a naturally like not fun guy. He's got opinions. He'd probably be better for radio.
In this situation, like, did you think that was really going to happen? Because I know you're going to love that.
So I wasn't really surprised because like there was a lot of chatter about him being the coach, and it just kind of seemed he kind of just seemed to be the right guy that the Flyers were looking for, because the Flyers were saying all offseason, we're going to have an aggressive retool, and fans were really, really, they were angry at Chuck Fletcher, the GM, because free agency came and went and they didn't go after Gaudreau. So a much bigger part of the aggressive retool was the hiring of John Tortorella, because he, like you said, he's the kind of coach that can take like a below average team and make them play competitive hockey. He's proved that for forever. He did it for years in Columbus. I think he's a really good fit for the Flyers, but it doesn't, the moves the Flyers made after hiring Torts, that's what's confusing to me. The coach-wise, he's perfect for the Flyers. But personnel-wise, and the personnel decisions they made this offseason, that's what's confusing. I'm a huge Torts fan. I love Torts. I think he literally could not be more perfect for Philadelphia. The only thing that is troubling isn't even Torts. It's just like, is he a fit with this locker room?
So you went to the NHL, or I should say, you went to the Flyers draft party, right?
I did, yeah. Broad Street Hockey threw a really, really fun draft party up in Philadelphia at the Philly Live Casino, and it was so much fun. Gritty stopped by. He was twerking. It was just terrific. It was so much fun. So, yeah, that was a really good time. And we had a really good showing. A lot of people came by, said hello. So it was super fun. I made the drive up with a friend of mine, and we stayed there the night, and it was just, can't wait till next year.
I asked Scott Wheeler this, but if you had the Stanley Cup for a day, what would you do with it?
I think I would get a boat, like a party boat or something, like a pontoon boat, and get like all my family and friends, and we would go like somewhere on the water, maybe a lake, perhaps like, I don't know, maybe the coast of Florida or something like that, and just go wild. I feel like some people are like, oh man, I would take it to the park with me. It's like, it's a trophy. It's not a child. But I don't know. I feel like that would be a fun thing to do, like take it on a boat and just kind of have a good time with it.
You got the Emmy. Going forward, you'll be able to do what you're going to do with the Cup in terms of like, if you have the Stanley Cup, instead you got the Emmy, so you can go around town and do whatever with that.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what we're doing. So the Emmy is here. We won the Emmy, and I have it in my possession, but it's in the box still. I'm not unboxing it yet. I'm going to wait to box it. We're just that extra. Me and my friends and family are going to go to a brewery near me, and we're going to unbox the Emmy in public, and my friend's going to like video the whole thing, and it's going to be fun. Is it over the top? Yeah, probably. I should probably just open it and just put it on my TV stand like any normal person would, but not doing that. No, sir. Me and my team during the Olympics worked our tails off far too hard to not celebrate this over the top. So I'm going to do it the right way.
I had to unbox. I got this bobblehead at the Nats game last week. It was JMU night. And of course I didn't go to JMU, but my cousin did. And I went with her. So I got this bobblehead, right? Oh yeah. It's Screech, the Nats mascot. And apparently it sings the JMU fight song. Next time you'll have the Emmy maybe, and then we'll see it in person, whatever. But that's cool that you got that. Congrats on the Emmy.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Like, I don't know. I just never thought I would ever win an award like that. And like, it wasn't just me. It was obviously my team and everything too. Like, it was a joint effort to get it. But like, it's weird to know that it's like in my possession. A literal Emmy is in my possession. I'm like, how did this happen? Like,